All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Culture Calls, dialing into the future, where we discuss everything on culture. Today, we are in conversation with Ms. Padmaja A R. Padmaja is an automotive enthusiast with more than 25 years of experience in various technologies like powertrain, steering, braking, airbags, and recently in automated driving. In her current role as Senior Vice President and Key Account Manager, she works on building for the Cross Domain Computing Solutions Division at Robert Bosch Engineering and Business Solutions. Additionally, Padmaja is an active member of the NASSCOM GCC Council and a part of the Board of Management of Bosch Chassis Systems India Limited. An absolute pleasure to have you on the show, Ms. Padmaja. How are you doing today?
Hey, well, I'm back at work, so I'm thrilled about it.
That is fantastic to hear. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and about your current role and what exactly you're pursuing so that our audience can have a bit more in-depth understanding?
Right. I, like you introduced in your introduction, you said I'm an automotive enthusiast, been in the industry for a very long time. So what I would say is I've seen this industry from a very highly male-dominated, bastion of the males kind of a thing. And I was in like it was at that point of time I was intruding into the automotive space, right, as a woman trying to break into automotive domain and say I love cars. So that was the kind of thing that I started with in this journey. I think like any other engineer, at the beginning you just like the area, but you don't know how badly you'll fall in love with the topic, right? So my story has been one that the more I saw the automobile, I think I fell deeper in love with it, and kept doing automobile over and over again, and it has become more or less a way of life for me, to think about automobiles, to just do technology gazing of automobiles, look at the industry, and of late the disruption that it's going through is just phenomenal, right? And the way the automobile industry is gathering its wits to fight back, yeah. I think this has been my journey. This has been a journey of also a place, Sumant, where I'm fundamentally an electronics engineer, and my space was a limited space because it was dominated by the mechanical giants, right? Yeah. From there, coming into an industry which is today talking only software and, getting into a software heavy industry, and being a part of this journey has been very, exciting, and more importantly, a very fulfilling journey. The area that I work for today is what is called as cross-domain computing. Yeah. This is something which is the transformation that is happening now in the automobile space, especially in the EE architecture, where they are transforming the entire car into larger computing elements, larger computing nodes, yeah, which can take care of a lot of data needs that are going to come up. Car is going to become the third living space. I mean, all of this you hear, right? To enable that, you will require very heavy duty computing nodes. So you will have large computers actually sitting inside of the car. And that is what I am into. And that's what we are working on today. And so Bosch itself has today got, so this is not a single division of Bosch, it's 3 divisions of Bosch that have been brought together under one umbrella, and that's why the word cross domain computing. So that's what I work for today. Yeah, super exciting field of all, like you said, automated driving, physics is transforming, software is the killer. So it's a very exciting journey right now.
Right. Truly exciting to hear, how your journey has spanned across, so many years. One of the things that, I'd like to ask, especially people who have had a lot of experience in the field, is that you have a lot of experience heading so many teams. And right now, post the pandemic, there have been so many changes, in work culture and the hybrid environment kicking in. So how do you see work culture evolving in this, hybrid or remote work culture, that's, looking to stay for a while right now? How do you see work culture evolving in such an environment?
I think one part of it is this is just irreversible. I don't think we will, I think you hear everybody saying it. I don't think we are going to reverse this. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure of it. If you ask me to look at a crystal ball, I will say it's only going to go a notch up than reverse, right? Yeah, that means you are going to see more maybe satellite locations, maybe more options to work in different cities and different countries and all of that, but it's not going to reverse to back 100% back to office is not happening. So the culture bit is the most interesting bit. So one thing that I've seen in this virtual thing is all of us have moved one notch closer to recognizing the person on the other side more, right? We are all recognizing more the person because we are able to see the other person in his, bad avatar, good. It's not a curated avatar that used to come to the office, right? Yeah, nice nails painted, nice dress. All those are not there anymore. You see him in the pajamas, dead one day. Yeah, coming into the call and suddenly by mistake switching on the video, his kid running about somewhere or something else happening at home. So the whole madness of control that we had, or the need that we have to have control, I think all of us are letting it go. And that's the beauty of this model. I think we would have required generations to shed this. Yeah. And this builds a kind of a, if I may use, you may call it a feminine term, but I will use the word, it builds a kind of an endearment, right? Yeah. And that leads to an increase in a quotient of trust. Yeah, the other person likes me and appreciates me for whatever I am. And that's the big change that's happening today in all this pandemic. We are seeing people work for way longer hours, Sumant. Yeah. And that's not because I'm asking them to work, right? It's because they feel they are accepted. And that's the part which I think will change the cultures of the organization. So the flip side of it is, this is happening in the very micro circles. That means my team, my associate, whom I am working with. This is invisible to the larger organization. Correct? So that is somehow the larger culture bit that we have to get it in place. So we have one very nice thing that we are cozying up to our team, right? But in large office spaces, you also had visibility to the other teams, right? Which is lost now, which you would bump across in a coffee room, or you just walk across to the other side. Now, if you're not invited into a video or a telecom, you're not present in that, right? You can't just go there and see and say, wow, they're having a nice party. You don't even know whether they are having a party, right? So that's the flip side of it. I suppose if we get these snooping rights, which I think is very important, some technology geek has to allow us to build a larger room where multiple meetings are happening and I get the right to snoop with a coffee cup. That is where we will maybe blend the goods and the bads put together, and the culture will move a dot further. Yeah, I like the bit where we are building trust. Yeah, and the other part on the trust, I don't want to really get on with trust. If you will leave me with it, I go on and on. So the other part of trust is we all like to be trusted, but we don't give trust so easily, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So what is happening is that we all want to be trusted, and we are liking that people are trusting us. They are seeing us in whichever avatar and they are liking us. But the quotient by which we are giving trust, that is yet, I am yet to see that quotient go up. The trust quotient of giving trust. That means that when you are giving a job which is unclear, right? Requirements are not there. Yeah, you have to throw a job at a person. Yeah, managers are still not very comfortable with giving that. Yeah, and that is the tension that you're seeing in either the calls to the counselor, I'm overloaded. You're not seeing in the direct pipe. You are seeing that people are stressed out. Yeah. So if you ask me, how will the culture evolve? I think it's evolving already. Yeah. And there are multiple factors by which it is evolving, and there are goods and the bads of it. The goods I love. I seriously love that people are letting their guard down, and that is the start point. I think that's a very good start point, and the rest we will have to cover one way or the other.
Right. I absolutely love the point where you told that trust is one of the most important things that is important for building a trust-induced company culture. There is this one thing that Gary Vaynerchuk always says, which is that company culture is the backbone of every successful organization. So I just want to ask, how true is this statement when it comes to the culture at Bosch and Robert Bosch? How true is this? Is company culture really the backbone of such a successful organization like Bosch?
So it's a very, very powerful question, and it has both sides of the answer, right? One answer is that yes, we have a super duper values and cultures behind who we are, and that's what makes me stay at this organization, right? So that I think I can say without the blink of an eyelid, right? Yeah. And whether it is in terms of the culture that stands in, I mean, you should actually, this whole pandemic brought out what we stand for much more clearly than what we said by words, right? Yeah. When one of our guys didn't get a bed, I think the whole teams were on the road trying to figure out oxygen cylinder, laki lagao, you run for them, you set up teams. There are guys working with the Bangalore task forces, right? Yeah. So this is what we stand for. Camaraderie is one of the biggest things, yeah, that we have here. I mean, I've seen a lot of women speak when they talk of why are you in Bosch, they use the word safe. They don't use the word thrilled. They say they feel safe here. Yeah? That's a part of the culture that we have here. Now, what happens with culture is that these are the things which we did, we loved, and maybe are today relevant. Are they sufficient to make us a great organization going forward, Sumant? That is another part of the story. Right? Yeah. So we are safe. Yes, good enough. The question is, in the technology world, are we taking enough risks? Right? So again, whatever you said, the other side of it that stands is we are a risk-averse culture. Right? So going forward, yes, culture is the backbone. So we are having a lot of, KPIs, EPIs on technology, business analysis, all of this we can do in loads. But at the end of the day, if the people in the organization peg lower on the risk, whatever beautiful data you bring, your risk aversion is going to show as a part of your results. So yes, I believe 100% that it is the culture that finally determines your business success. I'm 100% sure of that. And we have had that. And yes, this is going to be. But the point is, when you change, when there is a change that comes in, that's when what got you here doesn't take you further ahead, right? So even culturally, you need to alter yourself, keeping the bottom values still the same. I think you need to move on, and I think that's what we are slow at, and that's what we have to change.
Correct. One of the things that you told me, it reminded me of a quote that I heard a couple of days ago. There's this brand called Seek Discomfort. And the main motto of that is, after a point, you stop taking risks and you become comfortable with the level you are at. So
Yes.
the motto would be to seek discomfort and not stay in your comfort zone. So I think that is one of the things that, was ringing on my mind when you were telling that.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things that I also see is that in your experience, in your long experience that you had, you've worked a lot with different kinds of technologies and you've played with data so much. So does data and technology, play a key role in determining organizational culture? Is it necessary to have data and technology?
Oh, data and technology is the leverage by which change will ride over that, actually. So that will be the fundamental enabler, right? But remember, data, I mean, if you read books on data every time, and what you see is that if your it is not data or technology, finally they are enablers. If you are going to use it for a wrong purpose, I think nothing works. If we are in a situation, or if we take that the fundamental bedrock is that you won't violate the value systems, right? You will be fair, you will not misuse the data. If those things are clean, yeah, I think the whole change that we're looking at has to be based on data and technology. See, human minds, we are in the business, when we are hit with such a large transformational change, it's going to be a lot about changing habits. Correct? And how we change habits by practice, right? And that is going to be a repetitive thing. And that is to be done by nudging. And data and technology both are wonderful nudgers, right? They can be used and exploited like hell for nudging. So I believe that any organization will have to use data, because I think the spoken word today, yeah, is not as trustworthy as showing them, because we have all become, I mean, there were days when we didn't have a visual at all, right? But today, having so many visuals, seeing the translation or seeing that very little improvement in a KPI is very essential for our minds and hearts, yeah, finally minds, to believe that yes, it's possible. And that's where the change moves, right? So this is a very simple mathematic that we have to do. I think the leadership has to realize that they have the job to go after a large benchmark and call it out loud, right? But then they have to use technology and data to show that they are working on it. For change, the say-do cycle is the most important cycle that you can ever, emphasize upon. You say something, you do it, right? If you can't do it also, you say, I tried till here, it didn't work, I'm changing my track. Even that is transparency, right? So the say-do part of the loop, I think, is very well orchestrated by technology. Yeah. Right. And that is something where I say data and technology are phenomenally good friends of change, and they should be used.
I absolutely agree to that. There is one question, that we ask all of our guests on the show, which is what exactly does it take to become an employer of choice? And every time I ask this question, every single person has a different kind of answer. So I want to know what, according to Padmaja, is what does it take to become an employer of choice for people?
So one of the things to become an employer of choice will be, I think, stay in tune with the times. I think this is one of the biggest things that I think we need to be very, very clear about. This adapt as per the times. I think this is one of the fundamentals that is required. That said, I think I would look for an organization which is transparent, fair, yeah, and trusts me. This trust element is one of the most important parts of the game. Two-way trust. Again, I should be able to trust the organization, and the organization should be able to trust me. Yeah, but these are, again, like I said, the three things which are fundamental. But your ability to keep pace with the times. So recently, when Corona, large organizations don't play this keeping up with times because they are large. They have a lot of inertia to play this up very easily, right? It's in corners, pockets, and all of that. Large organizations find it difficult to showcase their adaptability with times, right? Yeah. So during this pandemic, what we saw at Bosch was their agility and adaptability to times in times of need, right? We saw age-old policies of leaves, of health claims, of insurance top-ups, of anything and everything that was required for employees. I think we changed our policies just in days, yeah, when it was needed. And that's one of the times where I said, wow, yeah, this is a place I want to be in. And then I realized that, oh, we don't see this face of Bosch often enough. It can, yeah, but we don't see it often enough. I think it's also important for organizations to work on this point to bring it forth for their employees. Yeah, and so I will. For me, the biggest point will be keeping in step with times. I think that will be the most important part. Whatever the changes, whether it is technology, whether it is people, whether it is your buildings, whether it is yeah, whatever it is, your perks, it has to keep up with times.
Right, right. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on our show. And I had really a fun understanding of what it means to understand the culture at Bosch. So thank you so much for joining our show. Are there any final words that you want to leave our audience with?
No, for me, the only thing I will say to all of the audience is these changes which we are seeing enable us to look inward and change ourselves. Yeah, just go through that journey without a lot of noise. Just go through that journey and make it fun, and you will all be happy that you went through this change journey. I suppose that will be the most important thing for all of us.
Right. Thank you so much for joining our show, Ms. Padmaja. And thank you everyone for hearing it until the end. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments, or please make sure to like this video or audio wherever you're listening this from. And we will see you again next time. Bye-bye.